So on April 18, 1755, William Dawes and Paul Revere set out on their midnight rides. Their goal was to warn American colonists of the British invasion. Paul Revere was much more successful. Why is this? Over the next 7 minutes, I hope to describe to you the power of an influential network. So why are we here talking about influential networks? Influential networks have its advantages. The first advantage is that networks contain private information. Second, they have access to diverse skill sets. Ultimately, it's a combination of these two that cultivate power. So are all influential networks the same? No. The most powerful influential networks are those that interact in high stakes, high impact, and are full of diversity events. It's through these events that they forge success and create long-term relationships, loyalty, and access to each other's networks. When building networks, there are a few common pitfalls I'd like to describe to you. The first pitfall is the self-similarity principle. A group out of Columbia took investment bankers and marketing professionals and invited them to a bar mixer. Knowing the rules that they had to interact with people from other professions, they wore electronic devices and interacted through the evening. The winner in the end was the bartender. Both investment bankers interacted with each other, and marketing professionals also interacted with each other. The second principle is the proximity principle. People interact with other people with like training or have like backgrounds. Why? Because it's easy, less conflict, and easier to come to a conclusion. So how do you go about understanding whether or not your network is appropriate? Brian Uzi and Susan Landlap have this great tool that you can go in and put in names of people on the right. These are people you seek to information or interact with regularly. The middle column are the people that introduce you to those people. The people on the right are people from whom you introduce these people to the center. So these people in the center are considered brokers or super connectors. Ultimately, if your name is in the center column more than 65% of the time, your network is said to be inbred. So what can you do about it? The first concept is to reach out to dormant ties. Look at your LinkedIn, your Facebook, any kind of groups that you may have, Astro or Baylor College of Medicine contacts, people you've interacted with in the past. Restore these dormant ties, make them active, reach out to them, offer them something. What do you offer them? Offer them a 5-minute favor. These 5-minute favors should be easy for you, shouldn't be time consuming, and shouldn't be exhausting. Share some knowledge with them, share their tweet, comment it on their LinkedIn. You may notice that somebody's looking for somebody to mentor somebody. Share your time with a family member of theirs or whatnot. These simple favors ultimately create an environment of reciprocity. For those who don't know, reach out to them, other networks completely, primary care physicians, other healthcare providers, or even other professions entirely. Expand your network even further. Go to Dow. Look at Sewell Automotive. It's a great resource for efficiency and customer marketing and these type of things. If you read any of his books, they're great. Reach out to something else that's completely different. Perhaps you have something in common, you can work together. Ultimately, this interaction creates an environment where you can share information and make it share information with others and create an environment of paying it forward. So back to William Dawes and Paul Revere. What you may not know about Paul Revere is that when Boston wanted to install its first streetlights, he was the chairman of the committee. When Boston had its worst fire ever, he founded the first mutual insurance company. When Boston had the worst murder trial in its history, he served as a jury foreman. He was a socialite, and he was a frequenter of bars. It is this he built his influential network. He was reaching out to people, other people that are important people, offering his time to them without any reciprocation. It is this willingness that he built a broad spectrum of power connectors. So think about it. William Dawes didn't do the same. When he went out, he went to one person or two people he knew that didn't have connectors. They were like each other. But Paul Revere, on his right, he knew all the right people that had broad networks. He just went out to them, and then they spread the information to the people that were appropriate. So, in the end, what I want you to remember that building an influential network takes time, it takes reflection, and self-diagnosis. By using these tools and paying particular attention to the pitfalls that I've mentioned, acting in self-reciprocity, you can create your own influential network.